Hi everybody, TJ Mac Vintage Cards, and today I'm doing episode 16 of my vintage hockey case build, where I'm putting together a 30 card display case that'll be put in my memorabilia card room, showing off these beautiful cards from the era of 1953 to 1963 Topps and Parkhurst. These are all full or three-quarter body shots. Let me go through, and these are the players that I've done to date, and I have individual profile videos set up on each of these players. I never did an exclusive one for Gordie Howe, but I started it with Rocket Richard and showed the Gordie Howe in that video as well. And then each video thereafter has individual profile of the players. So with that, we'll go through this quickly here to show where we're at to date. We had Gordie Howe, Rocket Richard, Tim Horton, Frank Mahovlich, Dickie Moore, Milt Schmidt. Second row leads off with Doug Harvey, Bobby Hall, Jean Rattel, Ted Lindsay, Lauren Gump Worsley, Alan Stanley. Moving into the third row, we got Red Kelly, Jean Beliveau, Glenn Hall, Alex Delvecchio. And today we're looking at Joseph Albert Pierre Paul Pilote. It's a long name there, but he went by Pierre. So here he is here in his 1958 Topps card. This is his second year in a grade 7. And you can see a nice full body shot of him carrying the puck up the ice. And it's behind him is this really, I think, striking background, this green and yellow two-tone, which you don't see very often on cards, these nice two-tone images, and it's very reflective of the 1950s, I think. And this is just a 66 card set, and there's various color matches in the set of just like a light blue and a dark blue. There's red and yellows, black and red, just some really beautiful two-tone backgrounds. And I think, the 50s loved to use the brighter colors. You just think of the cars from that era with the two-tone colors, and this was what it kind of reminds me of when I look at this card is the 50s and just the use of color from that time. So on the card you have in these big large letters Pierre Pilote in red, and then underneath in the box, this yellow box here, you got the team name, the Blackhawks, with his position was a defenseman. And then there's his the back of the card with the number here in the upper corner, his name. And then you got this green box that has in French and in English the little bit of background on him with the statistics here. And then in French and English you have just a little blurb about him with a comic here in the back. Now again, these cards were printed in the USA, but they were marketed in Canada heavily, so that's why they did the French and English information on the back, so that way French Canadians could read the cards as well. Just getting back to the front here, we'll talk a little bit about Pierre Pilote now. And he was a Blackhawks defenseman from 1955 to 1968. He retired in '69, playing 1 year with the Toronto Maple Leafs. He was probably the best defenseman in NHL after Doug Harvey, who I profiled up here, and then also before Bobby Orr. So that time frame when Doug Harvey was out of his prime and before Bobby Orr came into the league, Pierre Pilote was probably the best defenseman in the NHL. And why I say that is he won 3 Norris Trophies as the best defenseman in 1963, 64, and 65. And he also won a Stanley Cup in 1961 with the Blackhawks. Now, only Bobby Orr and Nicolas Lidstrom and Doug Harvey have ever won more than 3 or more consecutive Norris Trophies. So it tells you the company as a player that Pierre Pilote is with. Just really a tremendous player. He was an all-star for several seasons, first and second team All-NHL from 1960 to 1967. And he was also the captain of the Blackhawks for 7 seasons. And they had some good players on that team. Glenn Hall and Stan Mikita, and also the great Bobby Hall as well on that team. So just really some tremendous players that he played with, and he was the captain of that team. He was only 165 pounds, pound for pound, one of the tougher guys in the NHL at that time. His number 3 was retired by the Blackhawks. And really what strikes me about Pilote is just he was a very sound player who did a lot of research on his opposition, which was really ahead of his time. and that really helped him compete. He was a two-way player. He was a great passer. He could score. He played his own end very well, and just really one of those guys that didn't have many weaknesses in his game, which I appreciate. Just, you know, a hard worker and somebody that really got the most out of his ability. And that's really all you can ask when you have a player on your team. And the other thing with him is when he finished his career, he had 418 assists, 80 goals, and 498 points in 890 games. And that was second all-time for a defenseman behind Doug Harvey when he retired. So again, it tells you the caliber of player that Pilote was. And he's one of the more underrated Hall of Famers, in my opinion, when he got into 1975. And he passed away in 2017. And what I found real interesting about it is it said that he might have been one of the more underrated Hall of Famers of his era, but he was not as a friend and as a father, said his son Pierre Jr. You can write that because he was a very wonderful guy. So as a parent, it's very touching when you leave that kind of legacy. So he left a good legacy on and off the ice. So I'm proud to add him to my case. And I'll just take a shot back here of where we're at. I appreciate everybody watching, and have a great Sunday.